Matt, let's talk about some of the metrics.
So, the most important thing to know about this type of social referral, that incentivized social referral, it is not as much about sort of engagement or mind share or sort of what I'll call the fuzzy metrics, not unimportant metrics, but ones that are very, very difficult to get a handle on how they affect the end business. Our business is about acquiring customers. So we measure our business based on what percent of your new customer acquisitions come through social referrals. And so when I was first getting this, I said, well, affiliate is between 3 and 5% of the people who use it of their acquisitions. Do you think we could do that? And I started looking into the details, and not only was I able to beat it, but Extol's delivering 10% of acquisitions for people. Our top 3 customers, we do 40%, 35%, 28% of their total acquisitions. That means a third or more of the customers who are joining them and paying them money on any given period of time are coming directly from referrals from their own customer base. There's a couple other metrics that I think are important. The second one is we call conversion rate. And those of you who are in online commerce type businesses will know what conversion rate is. It's the ratio of visitors to eventual buyers or subscribers. Now, on an e-commerce site, between 1.9 and 2.1% is probably a good conversion rate. In our case, when a friend receives an offer through referral, it can be 8 to 12%. So as much as 10 times the conversion rate that they would see normally. And those customers tend to be about 60% more loyal. So we can't always get the numbers on loyalty from our customers. They don't always give it to them and they don't always have them. But in terms of things like for one of our companies, they tend to 90% of them stay in the highest package, meaning they don't do discounting for their further subscriptions. In other companies, they have higher LTV by as much as 60%.
Do you use a syndicated measurement service like a Nielsen?
We do not. And the main reason we do not gets back to what I was talking about earlier with the difference between engagement and conversion. When we're trying to measure effect, we want to get as much third-party validation as we can to understand, did this cause a purchase, or are there any sort of interim measurable moments, like did someone watch the TV show, did someone watch the ad? In the case of referral marketing, I am going from the advocate, who's what our term is for the person who's advocating for 23andMe or for Clear or other products, and the friend. I have basically a chain that's directly connected from the advocacy moment through the email, Facebook, and Twitter to the friend, from the friend to the purchase, and whether it's in-app or on-site. So I never ever lose custody of that relationship all the way around. So I can always match up with the same key, the initial moment with the final conversion. We're one of the few full cycle measurement tools out there because we deal completely from the initial sort of awareness all the way through to conclusion with the same set of bits so that we get a perfect measurement of what the impact is.
How do you get to your starting point insofar as how would you reach out to me if you don't have my email address?
That is a great point. One of the key factors sort of for succeeding in this type of advocacy marketing is how do you promote your program? And the program can be promoted by sending an email out to your customer base saying, hey, are you interested in this program? If you refer a friend, you can get $20 or a month off. I could tweet about it. I could share it on Facebook. And I often do, put it all over the site. I may put it next to content you might want to share. So there's a video you want to share, and next to the video I'll say, hey, share this video with your friends, and if they end up buying the product or the service, they get some sort of incentive. So I can connect it in a lot of ways. The key is not that there's technologies for distribution. The key to success is that the marketer embraces this as an important part of marketing. We refer to this as the third channel. For online direct marketing, SEM is king. SEO is just a minor bishop under that king, and there's a big open hole for third place. So these two are so dominant, but again, they're going through changes. SEO is going through massive changes. What we're offering is the third channel. But in order to take advantage of the third channel, you have to treat it the way you do SEM and SEO. You have to commit to it, not as, hey, here's a campaign I'll throw up at the end of the month because I got $5,000 worth of extra spend, but here is a way I am going to deal with my customers. And in fact, I went up to the Nest thermostats. I went to their website recently and I was looking for their referral program. And on their forum for customer support, people were asking, where's your referral program? So I believe it's going to become an expected way where people say, they're not like grubbing for money. They're basically saying, listen, I want to refer my friends to your product. And if someone wants to refer your friends to the product, why aren't you participating in this?
If I were to understand it, it's a little bit like Avon.
So that's a funny comparison. it shares a lot in common with models that have evolved over the years where you're trying to entice your loyal customers to become advocates. Now, there's a thin line between someone becoming a permanent salesperson, and that's an advocacy model, which is really more of what affiliate was about, and a lot of marketers know a lot about affiliate, where someone goes out and they become a professional marketer on your behalf. They may buy keywords, they may do natural search, they may put up sites. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about tends to be a ratio of 1 to 4 in terms of the advocate to their friends. So it's a very, I call them everyday advocates as opposed to super advocates. And when we think about the sort of hierarchy of things, at the very top is the J-Los and the Justin Timberlakes and people who can really move the needle simply by tweeting. And that's an important part of marketing. What I'm talking about is something like everyday advocates. It's all of your customers doing a little bit each person, and you giving them a little bit of a reward for doing so, a little reason for doing so, and having it add up to being a meaningful part of your customer acquisition.
What is this 12th man marketing?
So I was at a football game early in the season, a month and change ago, where the 49ers played Seattle, and it was my son's 12th birthday, and he's a gigantic 49ers fan, and my brother lived in Seattle. We get there, and my brother started telling me, he's like, it's going to be loud. I was like, yeah, whatever, I've been to concerts before. He's like, no, it's going to be really loud. They're going to break a world's record for loudness tonight. And I said, oh, that's interesting. So we go, and it was loud. I mean, it was so loud you couldn't hear yourself think. And it really affected the play. So the quarterback couldn't call out audibles. There were false starts. It fundamentally changed the ability of the visiting team to succeed playing Seattle. And Seattle crushed the 49ers. And so what I learned is they call this 12th man marketing. There's 11 men on the field, and they call this 12th man of the Seahawks. There's 11 men on the field, and the 12th man is all of the fans together. Now, if any individual fan screamed, no matter how much celebrity they have, they don't break a world record. It only breaks a world record when every fan screams at once. And then it creates a volume that you simply can't ignore, you can't, again, as I said before, you can't hear yourself think. That's what I believe is 12th man marketing. It's not about the one person who's the loudest. It's about getting everybody to be loud so that the aggregate amount of noise overwhelms your opposition.
Matt, looking ahead over the next 3 to 5 years, where do you see the media landscape going?
So I think it was interesting. You had an earlier comment where you're talking about sort of deliverability and how we get out to our ability as a platform to get to print and radio and TV and sort of unification, which I'll call the unification of delivery or unification of sort of the projection of your brand. So it's becoming easier and easier and easier to buy, easier and easier and easier to distribute relative to where it was 10 years ago. The thing that raises is the gold standard is going to be how can you identify people and how can you identify intent. That is going to be the hard problem, and especially how can you do it then in a world where as it gets easier to distribute, it will simply get louder and louder and louder because the natural friction points that keep players out of the ad market are going to be gone. So there'll be more players in the market making more phone calls, doing more emails, doing more radio, TV, film, print, and internet. So the real goal is what technologies are going to be out there to help us find people. And I think we're going to get a revolution in 2 areas. One is in using the social graph for targeting. I think that is going to be an absolute gift to marketers because we're going to have to spend more, and we're going to have to spend more on production values than we've tended to in the past to engage a customer. So we're really going to want to know that the people we're reaching are the people who are going to be converted. I think secondly, we're going to have to deal with issues of using the social graph, as I've said, to reach these people. So there's going to be a wide range of technologies to help me convince Charlene, and Charlene convinced her sister, and her sister convinced her husband. Because the volume of media is going to be so high, we're going to be using each other to help filter. I think the second big trend that's going on is a combination, and it relates to Google SEO and it also relates to mobile. And what we're finding is the larger players in the media landscape, and I'll list Google and Apple predominantly, but it also will include Amazon and others, are slowly closing off some of the open access we've enjoyed through things like first and third party cookies, through open URLs where we could pass leads between ourselves, we could identify customers, we could track them in different places to conversion. As these platforms shut down, and the 2 major areas are things like in the iOS applications and in fact Google's recent changes to natural search, we're going to get less and less information, less connectivity, and our ability to control and shape this consumer experience to target our marketer is going to be very, very much more difficult than it was even 10 years ago. So even as technology gets better, the behavior on the part of the larger players is going to make creating a connected experience for customers harder and much more expensive.